Okay, here's my sound preferences. I like a variety of different tunings, but really what gets my juices flowing, starting from the lower octaves, is in the bass. I like my bass punchy, tight, fast with a kick. I like a little bit of energy down there, maybe a little bit of warmth, but not too much into the getting into bass bleeding. It's got to have enough weight to make male vocals, make piano, cello, percussions, have the right tonality. When it comes to my mids, I do like my mids and mid clarity, but I don't like too forward a mid, so that's the upper mids I'm talking about. So keep the pinna gain down a little bit and not make it too forward a presentation. And when it comes to the highs, I do like my sparkly highs. At my age, I'm probably losing a little bit of the high frequencies. But not too much where it's sibilant and in your face. So that's what I like. All right, it's a Tone Deaf Monk coming at you once again, back from vacay and feeling refreshed. Though a little jet lagged, I thought I'd get this video out. It's not hampering my energy level any. It's kind of interesting, my little journey with the Myer Audio's newest, the CK2V, because I wrote my impressions, then I took these for a week. I took the CELEST YAKSHA as well, and I took Dita Audio's Mecca. That's what I took on my vacation, and I took my Shanling DAP, and I took the Nunchaku dongle. So that was my gear that I took on vacation. And the reason I did so is I was really enjoying the CK2V. And then the CELEST YAKSHA came in, and I wanted to do an A-B comparison. That was really interesting. But I'm not here to talk about that. I'm here to talk about the $189 Myer Audio CK2V. One, biodynamic, I think it's 10 mil, inside of these medium-sized shells, which is really nice. 4 balanced armatures, 2 of them are nulls for the mids, and then 2 custom ones for the highs of unknown origin. There's also 2 microplanars in here as well. So That's kind of interesting because that's also what's in the YAKSHA as well, but not quite as complicated. Four-way electronic crossover. This absolutely sweet modular cable, 4-core cable, beautiful ends. It uses the same, it's coming out of the Dunu factory, so it's using the Dunu modular cable ends. Really, really nice. Probably my favorite end for modular cables. My only criticism is I wish more manufacturers would use black heat shrink at the ends instead of that clear stuff. It does look better, but that's some feedback to you. Myer Audio. On the IMs themselves, they just say CKLVX. And inside of the new upgraded packaging, right there, that's not the right box. That's the SLA3. That's interesting. Hold on. Pretend you didn't see that other part. The CK2V box. They did upgrade their packaging just a little bit. Inside is still their kind of little puck zippery case. Still think it's too small. It'd be nice if it was a little bigger. Though, that being said, criticisms aside, the cable and the IMs do kind of squeeze in there, so stop my bitching, okay? Let's throw out some pros. The shells are... It's not pro yet. Hold on. The shells are nicely vented. No driver pressure. No driver flex. There's a little vent right beside the 2-pin connector. Right there, you can kind of see it. And stainless steel nozzles marked left and right. Again, zero issues. On my set, just so you know, I'm using, because I'll get into ear tip sensitivity in a bit, but I'm using the Feul H570 ear tips, and I'll explain why. So let's go into pros right now. I really love this IM, in case you're not picking up on my energy vibe here. Now, you can't call me a Myer Audio shill because I came down quite hard on the D62. I did not like that IM very much at all. But I think Myer Audio redeemed themselves beautifully with these last two releases, the CK2V and the SLA3. Fantastic. Massive 3D stage. Great standout instrument separation and layering. Bass has great rumble with that biodynamic driver was a good choice. So again, I love the fact of driver choice, implementation, and tuning, putting it together. It still has really nice texture into the mid bass, so it's not a completely sounding scooped out mid bass harmonish style. It's quite nice. Fantastic air and extension without sounding too dry. Strings sound well defined and have lots of subtle nuances you can pick up. Really nice. Love the cable, really do. Great job. And I really like the super clean mids. And that also had to come into play because of a little bit of the lower bass scooped out a bit. And that really came into play later on in this video as I talk about this IM versus some other ones and what the difference was and what you could pick up, right? My wish list. So a tad more weight into the lower bass. That's just me. That's something that I really like. Just to add a little bit more weight to male vocals and piano to give it a little bit more weightiness, to a little bit more body. Again, case could be bigger. Ear tip sensitive. And I'll say why. For me, when I first listened to these, I did my normal and I put on my wide bore tips, my probably Osla, I think I used crystal tips. It was too bassy. I hate to say it, but it was. It was just unbalanced and it was too bassy for me without the correct ear tips. Once I figured out ear tip selection for me, things became a whole lot better. So talking about sound here, my sources were Ibasso's DC Elite and the Can N3 Ultra, solid state mode, and again, those ear tips. That's how I used it. Stock cable, 4.4 balanced. Once I took those, the Faru ear tips, and it took off some of the sub-bass emphasis off, and then I was golden. And again, the Asla ear tips just put too much focus on the bass and made the upper mids too thin and dry. So ear tips, ear tips, ear tips, if you're picking up this set. Now, I love this kind of tunings. And it shares a lot of DNA to my $800 Unique Melody Stardust with its relaxed but balanced approach to the upper mids and extended treble. I really do enjoy this tuning. If you end up picking up the CK2V and love this kind of tuning, the Stardust, I'm telling you right now, the Stardust would be your clear upgrade path. Take all of the things that I love about the CK2V and just take it up a few levels with a fuller mid-range section, more natural tonality. The dual dynamics of the Stardust fills out the bass the CK2V misses out on a little bit, and adds in a whole bunch more micro dynamics, as does it adds more body and texture into the bottom end. The CK2V does an amazing job at 1/4 of the price. So for the value equation, it's there. But you can clearly hear why you would spend more money on the Stardust, because that would be a question you would ask yourself, right? $189, $800, right? There is a progression up there. Anyway, moving on. Now in this section, what I want to do is I want to do some comparisons to give you an idea of more how this thing sounds. So first of all, here's a graph of the CK2V, and as you can see that the bass is kind of scooped out a little bit into the lower bass. It really makes it for a very clean mid-range, very nice. And then the upper mids are relaxed a bit, and again, without the right ear tips, and even then, it does sound slightly recessed. And some people don't like that kind of tuning. You think you're missing out on something, but you're really not when your ears wrap your head around it, right? But doing comparisons, then you really get to hear what the CK2V is doing and what the other ones are doing differently as well. So let's talk about the ELYSIAN Pilgrim. At $360, double the price, you get a 1+3 in an all one dynamic driver, 3 Sonyan balanced armatures, right? So you're paying more for the Sonyans for sure. Full metal shell, shorter nozzles, which are an issue. So you need to make that little O-ring adapter thingy so you can get deeper ear tip insertion. It was a real challenge for a lot of people without that O-ring nozzle mod. So, but once properly seated, there's a reason why I groove with this set. Again, it's tuned very similarly to the CK2V with a slightly lower bass shelf, a smaller, faster, and more textured bottom end, like the Stardust, more energy into the 1 to 5K area, to add in a fuller mid-range. Sound-wise, the bass is fuller with the CK2V. The mids do sound less colored, and the top end has better sparkle and air and extension, which were some of the Pilgrim's criticisms where it kind of fell a bit short. And in the upper registers especially, trailing edges of notes were just too truncated for a lot of people with the Pilgrim, where the CK2V finishes the notes and makes instrumental stand out a lot more. I would argue the CK2V is and has a better top end, a polished Pilgrim, you might say, and fixes a lot of the criticisms about what people say that they were expecting the Pilgrim to do. For the mid-range and vocals are smoother and more natural on the CK2V. But the bass and top end also go to the CK2V as well. Stage dynamics and resolution. So there's a lot going for the CK2V compared to a $360 Pilgrim. If you were thinking about that I would take a hard look at the CK2V, that's for sure. Now another one, I'm stepping down in prices, as you can tell here. The BGVP DMA. I just reviewed this one, $300. Loved it to smithereens. BGVP, very underrated, fantastic brand and value. Here you get a single dynamic driver and 2 BAs and 2 bone conduction drivers. Now let's throw the CK2V up against the DMA. On paper, the DMA shows less sub bass and a bunch more mid bass. Similar upper mids, but treble energy from 7 to 12 kilohertz is substantially more in the DMA. So how do they compare sound-wise? Well, listening to something with acoustic guitar, you miss the attack and the speedier transits when you add in more mid-bass energy. Here the DMA outperforms the CK2V in female vocals and mid-range sounds, a little bit more recessed on the CK2V. Here you can kind of see that little bit of a dip. And it sounds a little bit more warmer and darker for sure up top. The extra information and energy that in the DMA bumps up in the 1 to 3K area right there. It makes it for a little bit more engaging mid-range for those detail seekers and the tonality aficionados. The top end lovers of strings and wind instruments will enjoy how much more nuanced the presentation is in the DMA. Now, the DMA is more filled out. It's an engaging set. The CK2V would be better for those who prefer a more laid-back, slightly recessed upper mids while enjoying a deep sub-bass rumble over the mid-bass slam, a really nice top end still without an overload of information. The two different presentations here would determine your preferences. Which one would you pick up? Would you align with the DMA or the CK2V? And that would really depend on you and whether or not you would spend $100 more for the DMA. Now, one more I'm going to throw in here because I didn't write this in my notes, but I took the YAKSHA with me in this travel. So on my trip, after writing my notes here, it really honestly reinforced how fantastic the set is. And how much I really enjoy this tuning. I think it's a wonderful IM. There's a lot of things going for it. It's priced right. It doesn't do a whole lot of things bad. And if you like that set, I mean, the only thing I would say is if you're a huge fan of very more energetic upper mids, very forward mids, this set might not be for you. But there's just a whole lot to love. So when I was doing the YAKSHA comparison, you notice again more mid bass, you notice more upper mid energy. And again, the YAKSHA is doing something different. There's a review coming up for that one, and it has something funky going on with the microplanars. They sound a bit disconnected from the upper treble. Some might like that. It's a bit of a different presentation. And the whole IM at $140, so now it's cheaper by $50 over this set, the CK2V. But you're not going to get as natural, clean sounding mid-range, that's for sure. So the CK2V, in my opinion, in my preferences, is by far the better of the two sets. Now, let's wrap all this up in conclusion. This set's not perfect. It is very well priced in a crazy competitive segment where I wish the mid-bass just had a touch more energy. I think that biodynamic driver was well chosen for this exact tuning. I do wish the CK2V had a touch more energy into the upper mids, like the other, 3 IAMs that I compared against it to. And yes and no, though. So the DMA is like a full throttle. The CK2V is, I want to party, but give me a few drinks and then let's talk to you after you settle down. The magic really starts to come out after you get into its groove and you just kind of melt into the music, flaws and all. This is another awesome release by Myer Audio. It's a bit unique, but not so weird to get you categorized into a niche tuning. That would honestly be more of the YAKSHA. And it's just enough to stand out on its own. It's priced to take, honestly, a sizable market share in this price category, I think. I would label the CK2V to honestly be, I want to be a Stardust IM when I grow up. And really, that's huge praise and a great compliment to Myer Audio and the tuners for what you did here at this price. So I enjoy this set quite a bit. I hope you learned a bit. And maybe it's for you. It's in my special segment. Thank you.